Hi Sarah. Okay, so here is your past life spread, and what we're going to do is look at where we are, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day, another important day, the death, and the lesson learned, and I'll get hints of time throughout. And what's interesting is the last reading I had was in Africa as well, so that's always fun when certain cards come up again right away, even though you shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. So let's start with where we are, and your job is going to be to make connections where you can. So based on what I'm saying here, how is it connecting to your current life? And I'll try to help however I can, and all I'm doing is relaying images and impressions that I'm getting to you. All right, so let's start. Here we have the Africa card, and it's feeling like we're looking at a male life, a bit more modern. We're looking at a time, I feel like, right away what came to mind was the image of this guy on a scooter of some kind, riding. He's riding, and it feels like he goes a certain way every day, and it feels like I can't really tell right now if it's delivering packages or picking things up, but there's something about him on this bike. Okay, so already keep in mind how you can make connections is one, if you have any interest in Africa in general, just like the culture or the decor, the art, the language, whatever it is, and also right away with a male life. If you're a female and we're looking at a male life, think of, were you a tomboy? Do you feel like you have any masculine energy in you? Or do you feel really balanced with your energies, masculine and feminine? That's what it can indicate when we're looking at a gender that's not our own in the current life, okay? So we're going to go to what you did with the majority of your time, and I love this card because with this image of this guy on this like scooter bike thing, this card is the wanderer card, a wanderer, a mobile living, moving around. And now it can mean like, tribes that move from place to place, or, like that kind of existence. But in this case, I feel like we are still like within a perimeter, but we're looking at someone that moves around a lot. And I feel like this bike is his job. I feel like, I don't know if he's delivering papers or if he's possibly actually doing drug deals as well. This is really interesting. Because he's stopping at a lot of, I feel like he has multi-jobs, and I feel like this is a way to make money. I feel like this is more modern times. We can be looking at just a couple lifetimes ago. I feel like we're definitely looking at the 20th century, and like mid 20th century, possibly, maybe a little before that. And we're looking at, so let's see, he's actually quite handsome. Like, I know it's odd. Like, usually like, it's not always that you get pretty people, but this is a pretty person, and I feel like he actually uses his looks to help him do what he needs to do. I feel like he's making money because he has to save. I feel like he's either helping with family or wanting to get an education, or both. But there's something about doing multiple jobs in order to get money, and some I feel like are like maybe one or two are like illegal technically, and then others are like delivering things or picking things up, messenger, communication. So keep in mind your current life, how you can connect to that is, one, are you interested in communications? Are you interested in travel? Is your job, like, do you prefer the idea of having a job that keeps you out and about, and like process serving, like going and doing new things, meeting new people, staying out there, not an office job? If that's your gig, it can stem from here, these feelings of always constantly being on the move. Now, because you were constantly on the move here, you can also be coming back into you can have a life now where you're like, I just want to stay still and rest and sit somewhere for a while, because our souls like to experience things they haven't experienced before. So that's how you can connect. Either one, you like to be on the move, you like to travel and see things and get out there, or two, you can be very sedentary and just want to take it easy. So that's how you can connect to that. Now let's go to this first important day. So I'm also feeling like this in Africa, it would be like south and to the west. That's the west, yes. So I feel like we're looking at like the southwest, and so Google what's happening when you look at Africa in the southwest. I would say even south south enough to either be in South Africa or right around it, but we're looking at someone who isn't in a large major city, but in a minor city. So it's still like a city, it's still like kind of like keeping up with the times, modern. We're not looking at like a tribe or a tribal community, we're looking at a modern city, but that isn't the major city. It would be like that city that everyone knows about, but it's just outside the major city, if that makes sense. So you could also be someone who likes living in the city. You might feel very comfortable in a city environment. And then also on the flip side, you could be someone, because you spent so much time in the city, you could be someone that really wants that cozy cabin in the woods in this life, you know? So you can make connections both ways. So the first important day, we're looking at the so long, farewell, until we meet again card. So somebody is leaving. We're looking at family, and we're looking at held back. Okay, so what we're seeing here, what it feels like, is you are witnessing someone leave this place, and a lot of your friends don't leave this place, because I feel like we're looking at people who overall are financially struggling a bit, not poverty, but struggling, where, you know, you're working at least 3 jobs to bring money home to help, but the fact is you can still do it. It's not like you're scrounging for food, it's just that you're scrounging for savings. So there's there's different levels there, but we're looking at you saying goodbye to someone you've known your whole life, who's grown up with you, and they're leaving because they were able to get out in some way, whether if it honestly feels like a scholarship of some kind, but also a scholarship made possible by a family member living somewhere else, putting them up somewhere. Like, they have really lucky circumstances. And I feel like this person is so close to you. I feel like we're getting the family card for 2 reasons. One, we're seeing you say goodbye to someone that you consider a family member. I feel like it's like a brother to you. And you're kind of, you know that you're vicariously going to be living through that person as long as you're here taking care of your family. And that's where the second part comes through, is this family card also pertains to your family, and this is the feeling of being held back. This card is held back. So you're held back by your family, and it's almost inconceivable for you to think of leaving them in their time of need in order to pursue your dreams. So in your current life, you could be struggling with that as well. Again, you could be someone who is finding that your family holds you back, but it doesn't even have to be financially. Your family, or people that you consider your family, people that you hold dear to you, or that you care about what they think, they could be mentally or emotionally holding you back because you don't want to disappoint them, even though they might not have ever said, it would disappoint me if you left or if you did this. You might be projecting the feelings that if I did this with my life, I know that they'll be disappointed, or that they'll think badly of me, or whatever it is. So if you find that you're somebody that doesn't pursue your passions or what brings you joy because of the judgment or opinions of others, then I feel like this is being brought up to tell you to get over it, because that is not serving you at all. You're not learning anything that way. You're just suffering. So if that's the case, if you feel held back by other people in for any reason, you got to realize that no one else is holding you back except yourself, and you just have to switch your thought patterns to be more in tune with what you want rather than what you think others are thinking and caring about that. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. On the other hand, you could be living this life largely and not caring about what anyone thinks and just going after what you want because of how it held you back here. So it can be either way. So keep that in mind as well. So next day, the next day we're looking at here is graduation. Now, the graduation card does not always mean school. It can mean graduation of, your mentality and emotional graduation. It can mean so many things. So I'm just saying what this is. The relationship involved is the child card, and we have disappointment. So okay, this is what we're looking at here. We're looking at a life being lived for others. We're looking at someone going along with the flow of things, which usually is a good thing, but they're not putting their own energetic signature into the movement of their life, and that really sucks because there's basically no say. It's almost like, I feel like this person, the graduation is graduating in a way where he is moving out of the feelings of being trapped, and he's trying to make the most of his life as it is at that time. And by doing that, we see a child come along. So we're seeing a family being formed here. Now, this is interesting because the family being formed, there is love involved, but there is not an in love involved, if that makes sense. The feelings of, because the disappointment comes in because this person is in a constant state of assessing his life and assessing what could have been versus what is really going on here. And so we're looking at someone who's, it's almost like they're creating a family in the attempt to make their life better, but it's almost like a weird thing of where he feels like he's using these people to help him feel better. Like he's like, oh, if only I had a family, I'd feel better. I could put my attention on my family and not on the fact that I wasted this time of my life. So it's almost like there's a little bit of a desperation to it where he's like, I'm wasting my life, I need to do something. And so he creates a family. So the feelings of disappointment come in because we're all aware of our inner truths. It's the kind of thing where when we're in denial, like you can still feel deep down that thing that you know is true to you, but it's just like one of those things that where it takes so much processing to get through. It's almost like it'd be burdensome for a while. So it's almost like he didn't do the work to process it until after the fact, and now he has a family to take care of. It's like constantly taking care of family. First his family, and then the family he's creating, and he cannot get out of that. And it's a theme that's rising up in his life for a reason. So currently, in your current life, again, I feel like if there is anything holding you back, just like him, we're seeing it's his, I hate the word fault, but it's because he is creating these situations. So if you find that you're in a place where you don't want to be and you're unhappy, the first step is to, one, acknowledge your own participation in creating the situation that you're in, even on a subconscious level. Even if you're handicapped, if you were born handicapped, you got to realize on a subconscious level you made that possible. You decided to come in handicapped in order to learn certain lessons from it. So if you are able to recognize on some basic subconscious level your role in creating the situations around you and even in creating your own unhappiness in that way, that is an excellent first step because you've acknowledged it and now you're able to change it. So that's what I would say is this is coming up for you to realize that the more you understand your role in your own life, even the circumstances that seem like you had nothing to do with it, if you can somehow grasp how you are in charge of your life in that way and the role you play, then it makes it so much easier to change things for the better, because that allows you to recognize things and release things. And that's what a lot of this is about, is releasing. He wasn't able to let go. He's not able to let go of the theme that's arising in his life of being held back by others because he's allowing himself to be held back by others. That's why I feel like he just missed out on so much because of him catering to other people and not paying attention enough to himself, because we're in our lives to live it for ourselves. We really are. It's not selfish. We're born alone. We're individuals. We die alone. Like, this is our life and we have to take charge of it in that way. We can't let others take charge of our life. Like, think of that. Like, living a life just based on what others dictate to you. Oh my gosh, it sucks. So I feel like this is brought up for that reason. If that speaks to you at all, it's a kind of a message to take charge of your life now. Then we come to the death. The death card here is easy peasy natural death, which is really funny because there's this feeling of just like the death, even the death was kind of boring. It's like there's this feeling he has looking back at his life, like, God, that was kind of boring. That was just so boring, and I didn't do anything about it to make it less boring, and even I died in a boring way because I feel like he just died in his sleep. And there's really nothing that is coming from that life, that death I mean, because usually we can learn lessons from a death, even natural death, but this death, it's more like the boredom. I guess that's the lesson in it, is do you really want to look back at your whole life when you're done with it and be like, God, that was kind of boring. I wish I did more. I wish I did that thing or traveled there. It's that feeling of resentment. You don't want that. So you want to take, this is almost like an opportunity for you, like, hey, if you don't want to resent things in your life, you need to take charge of it now. That's what I feel like is coming through. So the lesson involved here is the experience card. And I feel like you did experience what you were meant, if you experience a boring life dictated by others, by the end of it, and that's how you die, then you were meant to experience it. That's kind of how destiny works. Whatever happens is what was meant to happen. And so I feel like you did experience what you were meant to experience based on the decisions you made in your life. However, I feel like this is coming up because in your current life, it feels like it may be time to experience things based on you dictating the outcome, you taking charge of the experience and creating the experiences for yourself and not living other people's experiences, but really going out there and doing what you want to do, meeting people, being involved in a way where you are experiencing life to the fullest, because we see someone losing out on their dreams. They had dreams and then they stopped dreaming. And I feel like this card is coming up to tell you to never stop dreaming. There's no point in stopping dreaming. You can always have dreams, and that always gives you hope, and that always gives you motivation and excitement to pursue a passion. And that's what it's all about. It's about being excited and pursuing your passion and dreaming. That's what you're here for. Especially in this time now when we have so much opportunity and so many things at our fingertips that really allow us to experience things in ways that this guy here couldn't have possibly, right? So there is your past life spread. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to make connections, and thanks for letting me read you.